Bing bong. We're back with another state of the coin, week ending January 14th, 2022. Brandon, how's it going, man?
It's going great. How's life over in Tennessee? Down here in Florida, it's all peachy and clean. Another day in paradise.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Like when you say it's peachy, like is it sweet? Like I don't get it.
I don't know, man. I like peaches.
Yeah.
I'm a big peach guy.
Yeah.
Georgia peach.
I get my peaches in Georgia.
Shout out J Beebs.
All right, man. Let's talk Bitcoin. What do we got?
I think the first big story that we should go over is Strike. Strike is now coming to the country of Argentina. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is huge news for Strike. Huge news for Argentina, to be honest. I love seeing everything that Jack Mallers and his team over there are doing. I love seeing the expansion, and so I think it's super bullish. They put out a bunch of stats about Argentina. Implemented the Argentina peso in 1991, I believe, and that's when they started their central bank. And since then, so over the last 30 years, they've had over 8 different financial crises. Like 8 financial crises in 30 years is nuts. This year, they're expected to see 50% inflation and a GDP shrinkage of like 12 to 15%. So definitely a country in need of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Strike initially went to El Salvador right before they, made Bitcoin legal tender, and everything was really successful there. And it seems like, Jack and his team were actually, able to work with the government in El Salvador. So it'll be interesting to see if he, is able to find an in Argentina. I know, that Argentina's got a central bank and El Salvador doesn't. So, that might be a little gray area that they'll have to get around that they didn't have to deal with in El Salvador. But yeah, obviously very bullish for the Bitcoin network and, everything Bitcoin. All right, we'll go on and move to the next big story of this week. We got Block is hiring a team to build the next gen ASICs Bitcoin miner. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love this. Love this too. We were talking about it in our spaces, and I know you and I talked about it a bit on the Bitcoin Stoa pod. This makes me definitely super bullish on the Bitcoin network. There's a huge demand for mining rigs that's currently being unmet. We just saw Bitfarms actually buy Bitcoin instead of allocating capital to miners. And that's because the mining rig manufacturing is just behind. The demand is so high and the supply is really low. So any company getting into this space, I think, is going to do well. And yeah, I couldn't ask for a better team to be behind it. I mean, it seems like these guys over at Block really have their heads on straight. So super excited to see what they do. Now, there's one thing that would make me super bullish on the Bitcoin network, but bearish on Block themselves if you're invested in that company, is that if they decide to go for home mining rigs, which is kind of like plug-in for home miners, I don't think there's a huge market for that. It would be great for the Bitcoin network. It would make the Bitcoin mining network more distributed and out of the hands of large companies. But I don't know how big that market is. Like, I'm not going to have a mining rig.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you follow our stuff, you'd know that my stock pick of the year is Square/Block, ticker SQ, not financial advice by any means. But, I'm really bullish on Jack spending his full time on Block and Bitcoin. And I think that this is, a step in the right direction for the network as a whole. We've talked about, the home mining. I'm not sure how big the market is for that necessarily. Like for me, for example, I'm lucky to own my own house, but I got like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit here that I live in. My house isn't big enough to have something that loud and putting off that much heat. And I live in Florida too, so I already pay enough as it is in AC bills. So I don't really want to increase that cost. And I get the Bitcoin would offset that. A little bit, but at the same time, it just seems a little inconvenient unless you really plan for something like this.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the next one.
All right, the next one is another related to Jack Dorsey, Cash App. Cash App is rolling out on the Lightning Network now. So similar to what Strike does to allow you to send payments, it seems like Cash App is now going to implement the Lightning Network. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, anything that's going to cause growth in the Lightning Network, drive more traffic to it, I think is huge. Super low transaction fees, and like the Lightning Network, basically, how did they put it last night at the meetup? It's like first of all, it's a layer 2 technology, but it allows you to kind of hurdle over the intentional speed bumps that are on layer 1 of Bitcoin. So there are things about layer 1 of Bitcoin that are built in purposefully. They're features, not bugs. So like the amount of time that it takes for things to settle on the blockchain on layer 1 is actually a feature of the blockchain. Like a blockchain is essentially a very inefficient database, and it's supposed to be like, and that's where proof of work comes in, and it's part of Bitcoin. So it's something that's super important for a global monetary system, but does come with a speed bump of transaction time is really high. And so the Lightning Network allows you to kind of hurdle that speed bump on layer 2, but then it still goes into layer 1. So you still have all the features of layer 1, but anyways, this is a long way of me saying, like, again, super bullish on everything that Block's doing. I love to see it. I actually haven't tried to do a Lightning transaction on Cash App yet, but maybe that's something we can try here soon.
Yeah, well, you can go ahead and send me money if you want. I mean, my my cash tag and everything. So, bank is open, as they say. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. Anything that is, putting payments through the Lightning Network, it's quicker, more efficient, and cheaper. So, beneficial for Block, and beneficial for people who are sending money back and forth too. So just overall very bullish for the space, and good things going on in the Bitcoin realm. All right, now we have the next story. Bill Miller is very bullish on Bitcoin. So I'll let you go first and give it the old rip on the Miller and see what you think.
Yeah. Bill Yaner Miller here is super bullish. I think Joey, our buddy Joey Tweets called him Bull Miller. Yeah, man. Like the guy comes out and says that he's got 50% of his portfolio allocated to Bitcoin and 50% allocated to Amazon. Like, it's just so crazy. It's so crazy, man, that he is choosing to put 50% in Amazon.
I mean, Amazon's not going anywhere. You got AWS, you got, everybody ordering Amazon. I don't go to the store for any general things right now. So I got paper towels coming into Amazon because I don't want to run to the store instead. So,
but how bearish is that? I mean, how bearish can you be to only have 50% allocated to Bitcoin?
I mean, he probably has some stocks at one point in time. It sounds like he owns Bezos at this point, if he's a billionaire and has that much stock. But, that number will probably change soon, too, if we, all think how Bitcoin's going to do within this next year. So it'll be interesting to see if that percentage changes or if he reallocates, kind of how he plays it. If he's going to be a real long-term hodler or, some of these fund managers only want to allocate a certain percentage. So if Bitcoin runs, is he going to sell some of his profit to buy Amazon stock, or how is he going to play that? So, it'll be definitely a story to follow going forward. Obviously, he's super bullish on Bitcoin, so I imagine he's going to be a hodler, but, that's just speculative at this point.
Yeah, agree 100%. Let's look, it's just one more massive fund manager adopting Bitcoin at the end of the day. So super bullish. What else we got?
We got Jack Dorsey, another story out of ya boy, Jack, who Dan previously ripped on for Twitter censorship. If you've been following us for a while, you know that. But Jack is forming a Bitcoin legal defense fund for all Bitcoin devs. I think it's just good, because a lot of these devs, they work for free. They don't really get, obviously they don't get paid anything. And then, they're kind of putting themselves out there and make themselves liable on a free and open network to everybody. So, Jack's just offering a hand there and allowing people some defense funds if needed. Hopefully, God willing, nobody ends up needing that. But I think, overall, it's just good and it encourages developers to get out there. What are your thoughts?
I love this. This is something that we've talked about in our spaces quite a bit. And to your point, I think last week it was Gandalf that was saying this, BTC Gandalf, our buddy on Twitter. Was he the one that we were talking about the Bitcoin grants through the Human Rights Foundation, where it's like it's really they're not getting that much money through these grants, and a lot of them really do work for either free or for very little money. So these core developers are massively important for you look at like Taproot and all that stuff like that. These are the people that are building that, and so guys like Craig Wright who are going at these guys, like that's primarily who's going after these developers. Like, pardon my language here, but like, fuck that guy, man. Like, what are you doing? If you really were Satoshi and you really did build this network, why in the world would you be going after the devs who are building it? It's just so crazy to me. So good on Jack. Jack is completely free. Jack, Twitter free Jack has really changed my attitude towards him.
Yeah, and Craig Wright, generational scumbag. They don't make scumbags like this guy anymore. So, yeah, I mean, why would you make somebody working or sue somebody working for free? But, sometimes you get your back against the wall, you just start throwing darts at everybody, unfortunately. All right, the next story. A slew of athletes have come out and embraced Bitcoin. I think most notably we had Klay Thompson and Draymond Green from the Golden State Warriors come out and partner with Cash App. We saw, I believe, OBJ and Aaron Rodgers partnered with them at one point in time and gave out $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Same thing with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. So first ones in the NBA, I believe, that have partnered with Cash App. Previously, it was just NFL players that I saw. So yeah, overall bullish. We had Saquon Barkley also tweeting about Bitcoin as well, saying he wants to keep his money into an appreciating asset, things like that. So it's great to see the awareness of athletes starting to take control of their finances. I think that's just bullish for me as like a I don't know if you guys know this about me, but former D1 athlete. Maybe not quite the football player, basketball player, but I could run around an oval decently quick. Yeah, I mean, I think just overall bullish for professional athletes who, historically have not been good with their money. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say two of the same things where I'm also a Division I athlete. So me and these guys that we're talking about, we're on the same level. You know what I mean? Like we're both, or all of us we're D1 athletes. So it's just so good to see it, man. Like we're a community, us D1 athletes. We're a very tight community, and these guys don't really text me back when I shoot them messages and stuff, but it's all in good fun. They're playing a little prank on me by not answering my messages, and but I think it's important that we've got this group of people. Maybe the exact stats on this, but it's like, isn't it something like 97% of NFL athletes end up declaring bankruptcy at some point in their lives?
I don't think the percentage was that high. I think it was maybe in the 70s or 80s. But yeah, it was most NFL players run out of money. I believe it was like within 10 years of them leaving the league. And, the NFL also stands for not for long. So I think the average NFL career is like 3 years or something like that. So, when you think professional athletes, you generally think of these big guys like a Saquon Barkley or OBJ or Aaron Rodgers who are getting paid these massive amounts. But, there's also been, Russell Okung, a lineman, come out, and I believe a tight end, I want to say he was on the Chiefs or the Chargers, say he was going to take a paycheck. And, I was even more bullish on that because he was, I believe, just like a fringe player, maybe on the practice squad or, I don't want to disrespect the guy too much, so I'm going to quit talking and on his skill level, but I know he was a lower level guy that wasn't getting paid millions of dollars. And so to see a guy like that, get his payment in Bitcoin, I think that's extremely bullish.
Yeah, I love to see like this group of athletes, maybe not these specific athletes we're talking about, but the big names go and people will follow. So it's like this group of people, again, it's like people that are historically either not good with money or surround themselves with people who really aren't looking out for their financial well-being. There's like crazy stories about agents who are stealing money from these guys, or they bring their family in and their family's stealing money from them. So it's just a terrible situation that they find themselves in. And a lot of people say, oh, well, if I made $1 million for 3 years or whatever the average career span is for the NFL, I'd know exactly what to do with it. It's like, man, if you gave me $3 million when I was an 18 or 19-year-old kid, you better believe I'm going to be an idiot with it. Like 100%. I was an idiot when I was making $400 a month like as an athlete. So, that paycheck hits and we're hitting the bars, man. It's like, imagine if it's a couple million. So I don't know. It's just good to see. I'm happy with this. Do we have any other stories, or is that it?
That's it on the off-chain news. So what do we got on the on-chain? What are we looking at price right now?
Yeah, where's the price? I was like 42. I saw.
I saw 42.7 is where I see right now. We've kind of been floating around this range. We peaked up about a little bit over 44 within the past week or so. But other than that, we're kind of floating around from 43 to we're dipping a little bit below 40. So what are your thoughts on the overall price action right now as we're still tipping on fofos? Shout out Mike Jones.
I'm just looking at my last hourly buy here. As you might know, I hourly cost average, and it's 42.7. So I love it, man. I love these cheap sats. I'm going to keep hourly cost averaging. I'm going to keep stacking these sats, and price action, I don't know. Are you worried? I'm not worried.
I'm not worried, but somebody stop this man. Somebody quit letting him tell us every 2 days that he has hourly cost averaged.
Well, it's empowering. Once you start doing it, you just got to tell the world, we gon' show the world. Boozy, baby. Boozy badass.
Shout out Boozy.
Yo. What else? Let's SOPR is, in my mind, bullish. It's been doing the same thing it's been doing for the last, 4 or 5 weeks. It's just hovering around 1. This SOPR metric is spend output profit ratio. So if it's above 1, you're selling at profit. If it's below 1, you're selling at a loss. We're just bouncing up and down around 1. And to see when price dips like this, to not see massive sell-offs either for gain or loss, to me, it's very bullish. Like, people just aren't moving coins. So love to see that. And then the hash rate, the big thing with what was happening in Kazakhstan is, we were expecting to see a little bit of a drop off in hash rate. I'm actually looking at Glassnode. I'm going to pull it up and see if it shows up on the screen. So hopefully people are seeing Glassnode, and it's looking pretty good. Brand, I don't know if you can see. You probably can't see my screen, but it's like people,
is it close to the all-time high?
It either is the all-time high or it's very close. So it's up there. It's
all
good.
right.
It's good, man. This shows us, just like we saw last summer after the China ban, the resiliency of this network.
Yeah, and it can't be stopped. Even with some FUD here, some FUD there, easiest investment you can make right now for your long term. Just keep stacking sats, not financial advice.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's wrap it up. How do you feel going into next week? Do you have any big predictions? Are you expecting any news or anything?
I'm not necessarily expecting anything big to come out. I think, the Argentina news with Strike is going to be a slow and steady grind. I think we will see maybe a couple countries designate, Bitcoin as legal tender going forward. I really liked what the president of El Salvador is saying. He's calling a shot, saying are going to designate Bitcoin as legal tender, and I feel like he's got a little bit more inside knowledge than I do. So, I like the chances overall. Just very bullish for the network. I'm just going to keep buying, keep my head down, stay away from the FUD and all the Web3 noise, and I think Bitcoin is in a good spot.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I don't know, maybe there might be some Pudgy Penguin news or something that comes out that makes me completely change my entire thesis on all of this and sell everything and just go into Pudgy Penguins. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I drew a couple, so I could sell them to you if you want. Bank account is still open.
All right, man. Well, that will wrap it for us. Again, this is our State of the Coin, week ending January 14th, 2022. Brandon, why don't you tell all the people listening where they can find our information?
They can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Green Candle IT. And then they could also find our Substack, where we put out 3 newsletters a week, including our State of the Coin, at greencandleinvestments.substack.com. And we'll have everything linked below as well. So be sure to check us out on all socials. Check us out on Twitter. We do some live Twitter Spaces and some interactive stuff there as well. So, yeah, that's about it for me.
All right, man. We'll see you.